Hi, everyone. I'm Maureen Lee Linker of Entertainment Weekly for The Awardist. And today we have Chris Van Dusen, the creator of Bridgerton, here talking with us about his incredible 12 Emmy nominations for the show, including Best Drama and Best Actor for Leading Man, Regé-Jean Page. Welcome, Chris.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You've got these 12 nominations. We haven't seen a mass market romance series adapted on this scale. And I think it did feel a bit of a gamble going in. So does this kind of feel like the ultimate vindication in a way?
It does. I think, the Emmy nominations, it's incredible and it's so exciting. And it's also, it's really humbling. I couldn't be prouder of everyone involved in the making of the show. And I'm really just filled with tremendous gratitude to Netflix and Shondaland, especially for supporting my vision of the show from the beginning.
Yeah. Do you feel or do you hope that it'll pave the way for romance in this genre to be taken more seriously in Hollywood in the future?
I hope so. These books were amazing. I think there's this, and I think we've talked about this before. I think there's this misconception out there that all romance novels are either trashy or disposable, or that they can't be smartly written. And I don't think that's true. And it certainly wasn't true for the Bridgerton books.
What do you think it is, though, about Bridgerton? I mean, there certainly have been things that, if not romance mass market adaptations, are romance adjacent, something like Outlander, and it hasn't seen the awards love on this scale. So what do you think it was about Bridgerton that made it break through like this?
Considering the incredibly difficult times we're all living in, people were able to find a bit of a respite in the show. I also think, it has to do with the world of the show being multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-hued, this beautiful world that really is saying anyone is welcome here and anyone can find things like love and joy and triumph at the end of the day.
Yeah. What has been the most thrilling for you, whether it's the nominations, finding out Kim Kardashian watches the show, something else entirely?
All of those things. I think when I saw the show premiered and pretty soon the memes started to come in and the tweets and the recaps, the hilarious recaps. And then there was the Bridgerton TikTok musical, which took it to a whole other level. It's really what this cast was able to do with these scripts and watching them work on set. And I remember being in Video Village when we were shooting the pilot and at that last scene of the pilot after Simon and Daphne had made their ruse and they walked out to the dance floor and they were under this sea of fireworks, and a lot of those fireworks were practical. So we saw them on the day and they were surrounded by all these supporting artists, and it's just really special moment.
Yeah,
I think.
well, I just got chills again hearing you describe it. It's so beautiful. Well, obviously every showrunner hopes to create moments and scenes that will capture the public's imagination, but was the Spoon Lick scripted, and did you expect that to become what it became?
The Spoon Lick was scripted, and those were some of the best days in the writer's room that I can remember. We challenged ourselves to come up with these, we called them thirsty moments. And the Spoon was definitely one of those moments. And we had such fun in the room pitching on those ideas. And there were so many, and there's so many more to come in the series as well.
Another thing that people talked a lot about were, of course, the love scenes, particularly that "I burn for you" moment that has been revisited many times. But I'll be honest, a lot of pop culture right now is kind of neutered, not super sexy. So what is the secret to making love scenes and a show very sexy?
I approached it with the idea that I wanted this show, the experience of watching the show, to not be so different from the experience of reading one of those romance novels. All that is intentional as far as the show feeling sexy and dangerous and fun, and it be taking you on a wild ride at times. And it was purposeful on our part and my writer's part to kind of leave the viewer a little hot and bothered and breathless at times. And that's something that I really, really love about the show.
Yeah. Beyond those two moments, the "I burn for you" and the Spoon, is there something for you that's a real standout or a moment you're proudest of in the first season, either because it was difficult to achieve or just reflects the ethos of the show, or all of the above?
Oh, I think, I don't think there was anything particularly easy about doing this show. There's a scene in the pilot with Daphne and Anthony riding on Rotten Row, and they're discussing the place of women in society. And they're discussing Anthony's duty, both Anthony and Daphne's duty to their family. And that was a really challenging scene to shoot because we used real horses. And Phoebe and Johnny are both very adept at horse riding now, but that was a bit early on in our shoot when kind of everyone was just finding their footing. But it came together gloriously, and I love that scene so much. So that's probably one of them.
And there's been all this outpouring of love, most watched Netflix series ever. But you did have the one moment that got the backlash, Daphne's choice in the back half of the episodes. Were you surprised by that response? Is it something that has entered into conversations or thinking as you craft moments in season 2?
I wasn't surprised. I knew that was a controversial moment in the source material. It is quite different in the show than it is in the books. But at the end of the day, we are a show that allows our female characters to be complicated and to be far from perfect. And that means they often have to make really complicated human choices. And so the writers and I and Shondaland and we thought that those characters should be allowed to do just that. And that was really all a part of our responsibility to the story of, the education of Daphne Bridgerton. That scene is very much a part of Daphne's story.
Well, another one of your nominees is, of course, the singular Dame Julie Andrews for her voice work. I'm curious, I know she's got a great sense of humor, but was there anything she balked at in the process?
No, Julie Andrews was a dream to work with. She's everything you would think Julie Andrews would be. she's hilarious. When I was reading the pilot, I had her voice in my head. Never in a million years thinking that would happen, but we ended up sending her all the scripts. She fell in love with them. She said yes. And she's very much a part of the Bridgerton world for sure.
And so now, as you're going into season 2, is there a writer's room rivalry to come up with the cheekiest things for her to be able to say?
It is, I that's one thing I'm really excited for audiences to hear again. The incomparable Dame Julie Andrews back as the voice of Lady Whistledown. And that's really exciting. Yeah, those voiceover, all that dialogue is so much fun to write too. And now, especially knowing it's definitely going to be Julie Andrews, it's definitely changed things, and it's definitely, it's still so much fun.
Well, I know you really can't say much about season 2, but I have to ask, we've had really beautiful weather this summer in LA. Have you been practicing your croquet?
I'll be honest. I've never picked up a croquet stick before. Croquet stick, croquet mallet. I'm not sure what they call it.
Mallet.
Yes, you're talking about. I think you're referring to the amazing Pall Mall scene in the books, and that was definitely one of my favorite set pieces of the series as well. Without saying or spoiling too much, just know that was a favorite of mine.
I love it. Well, book 2 is my favorite, and I'm really excited to see what Jonathan Bailey is going to do. And I wanted to ask, how is he doing so far, stepping into the central role? Have you felt a shift in his energy as he sort of pivots into this leading romantic hero role, slightly more in the center of things than he was in season 1?
Yeah, we left Anthony at a bit of a crossroads at the end of season 1, I'll say. He had just been through this relationship, if you want to even call it that, with his Mistress Sienna. And he enters this season, the second season, knowing he has to find a wife, and obviously can't tell you many details about that season right now, but I will just say that, we're taking Anthony to some really fantastic and complicated places in the second season. I think we fully broke him at the end of season 1, and now we get to put them back together in a way that I think makes them all the better.
I love it. I think sometimes, when a show pivots to focus on a new character, or there's a time jump, any number of those things, it can shift the ground under people's feet a little bit. So do you feel what you've got in season 2, that the dynamic has changed, whether it's look, mood, tone, something more intangible?
I think, the goal was really to bring the same Bridgerton magic that people became obsessed with in the first season to season 2. And I think I'm confident that we're doing that. It's still just as scandalous and just as just as escapist as the first season, I think.
Yeah. And I guess I'll just leave you with this question. Who is the number one person you would want to thank if you are so lucky to take home Emmy Gold?
Oh, I think, personally, the number one person I'd like to thank is my husband. He has really, we have three very small children at home, and I wouldn't have been able to do the show and really throw my all into this show if it wasn't for him. So I think props goes to him for sure.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Chris. And we'll definitely be rooting for you and all things Bridgerton, and can't wait to check out season 2 whenever we're able to go back to the ballroom.